So it's come to my attention that a lot of socialists do not know what a free market is. They would say that a free market would bring forth violence. It would bring forth wars. It would bring forth some heinous crimes. Even though a lot of those same things that they have been talking about have been brought forth by governments, like the Benito Mussolini's, the Adolf Hitlers, the Joseph Stalins, the Pinches, all prime ministers of the government. They would say all those events that all those tragedies and events that happened with those certain individuals. And once again, Adolf Hitler was not a freaking capitalist. He was a socialist. Mussolini, who was a fascist. Adolf Hitler got a lot of his ideas from Mussolini, who was a socialist turned fascist. Even though, yeah, Benito Mussolini was the founder of socialism, but a lot of people would say, some people would say like Adolf Hitler was a capitalist, even though he got a lot of his inspiration from Mussolini, who was a socialist turned fascist. So once again, these guys don't know a lot of history about socialism in general, or they would say that it wasn't socialism, it was an act of capitalism, which could be far from the truth. So to talk about the free market, the free market for a lot of libertarians and capitalists are talking about is a system, is a free market that's not it's a market that's not governed by the state. And the state would not get involved with it. The state would not be able to put their 2 cents in it. The state would not be able to take some money out of free market. If there was more free market out there, there would be more housing built, and there would be more construction built. There would be probably some better jobs out here than the state provides, and a whole bunch of other things that a lot of people can do to build some generational wealth. And when people hear that, not being controlled by the state, socialists are some socialists out here are just quick to grasp about how that would mean no state laws. Then that means they want to bring back slavery, when that could be far from the truth. And the fact that there are socialists out there that pivot to that measure, saying if the free market comes back without any government interference, slavery would come back. Hey, that's a free market, right? No, that isn't active aggression. Slavery was always in that active aggression. But some people would say, oh well, that was part of the free market, even though slaves were being sold by some country leaders or some state leaders. It was an act of politics, not an act of the free market. But you have some socialists out here being completely disingenuous about the whole ideal, saying like a free market would bring forth chaos, even though all these people that I mentioned from the Mussolinis, the Adolf Hitlers, the Joseph Stalins, the Pinches, and there are much more. There are many more people to bring an example on that are leaders of the state, leaders of government that have brought forth tremendous body counts. Over a million people have gotten killed with those four people I mentioned. That was over a million people, over 2 million. It was a large body count coming out a lot of these from a lot of these fascist socialist people. But then they want to discredit that and say that was none of that was socialism. They want to distance themselves from that socialism. But what they would say it was not real socialism. That was actually capitalist. Again, it doesn't make any sense. Throughout history, anything that came from socialism came from a huge pile of dead bodies, over millions of people. But they are so quick to say, oh, if the free market got its chance, then there would be nothing to restrict these free markets. And again, socialists always bring forth slavery as if that's the only thing that would come in the free market, which again it would not come in the free market, because there are still laws in place, and the community will be severely against it. The free market is not about slavery, and the fact that socialists out here truly believe that, even though slavery came from politics, it came from state leaders, world leaders, but they worry about the free market. That was not. A lot of people do not consider that a free market trade, because it was from acts of violence. So here's what this guy says. So apparently, this guy, I've been trying to tell him what a free market will actually be, but he glanced over it so many times to say, oh, so if a free market would come, that means I would have the right to own slaves. So with that itself, that means he wants to own slaves. He's not just using it as an example. He keeps on bringing up the whole slave trade deal, even though that once again that was from country leaders and some state officials. I wouldn't exactly call that a free market, but for what he said, for what I've said, capitalism is through voluntary measures, not acts of violence. This guy just says, who the F cares? If it makes profits, I will kill others. That is the mindset of a billionaire. Again, this guy doesn't even know what the actual mindset is. This guy just brought forward capitalism and means, that means I can do any kind of acts of violence if it means I can bring forth any type of money or a valuable resource. That sounds a lot like what a lot of world leaders did who are not business owners. A lot of prime ministers, a lot of state officials. Not some millionaires out here. So I told him. So what he said, if I made a startup slave business and sold slaves with no government interventions, I told him, sounds like you want slaves. You want to inhibit the free market and stop my business. Then I told him, that's not the free market. And then he said, how? The government/state interventions help push crazy wars and slavery, not the free market. The government/state left a trail of dead bodies. So then he also said, okay, so what if there was no government and like I said, it was all business? Then this guy, there was no answer to that, because it was a stupid question. I literally told him many times what a free market would actually be. He kept on saying, well, in a free market, I should have the right to own slaves, right? No, that's not what a free market is. A free market is through voluntary measures. But a socialist, I told us 5 to 10 times that a free market is through voluntary measures, not through acts of violence. This guy kept on putting in acts of violence, because if it doesn't have any acts of violence, then can it actually be a good thing? I kept on telling him. A lot more dead bodies and a lot more slave trade deals came from state leaders, country leaders. But this guy kept on glossing it over. And he truly believes that the free market means he has the right to own slaves. That's not what the free market is. Some guys just don't want to listen. So with that being said, there are truly some socialists out here that truly believe that a free market would mean slavery, even though the slavery was more of a resource thing by world leaders and dictators, not the free market. The free market was more about you could start your own business. You can build more housing without government intervention and without the government taking a portion of your money, making you more broke, or you not be able to pay your workers. And again, that's also another point that this socialist said. This guy said if there's a free market, then that means I wouldn't have to pay my workers. Again, not a free market. I don't know what the hell this guy gets his definition from, but that's definitely not a free market. Why would you not want to pay your workers? Oh, he said, I'm a business owner. Why would I not want to pay your workers? That makes you a shitty business owner. That makes you a person that doesn't want to pay their workers. Again, that's not a free market. A free market is voluntary measures, and you want to pay your workers what they're owed. A lot of state officials don't like paying people what they are owed. Prime example: look at taxation. They take 30% of people's taxes each and every year, but they only get like probably $1,000 back. So if they made like $40,000 a year, the government would take 10,000 of those dollars and keep it for the rest of their life, and you only get $1,000 back. But this guy is more worried about a free market than actually state officials that purposely takes people's money and doesn't even want to return them, and then they don't get it back through Social Security. They don't get it back through the IRS. They don't get it back ever. The state will the federal government / the state will keep that money. But and this is what a lot of libertarians such as myself want to get people to actually understand. Like the state is not your friend. A lot of people think that think the state is their ally. The state comes in and protects. The state does not protect you. It doesn't. People say that the police protect, but then the police depending on the neighborhood is probably not going to get there to the next day. And at that point, you're already brutally beat or dead. But once again, a lot of socialists always want to mix in a free market society and say, oh, there will be no government intervention. That means libertarians want acts of violence, and again, they twisting words around or trying to bring forth acts of violence in order to try to push this stupid narrative that they truly believe that socialism actually works, even though throughout history socialism has brought a way more bigger pile of dead bodies than capitalism has ever had. Right there, next to communism. But once again, let me know what y'all think about it in comments below. If you guys like I'm saying, like and subscribe, share the video, hit the notification bell. I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.